There is one thing, many people have talked about poverty, and they've talked about why aren't we able to solve poverty. And I think I'll begin here by saying, before we can define something, we can't fight it, because we don't know exactly what it is. When we talk of poverty, some people equate it, since we are in this fake system which regards money as life and everything. Poverty is termed as a lack of money to buy resources that we may want, or to buy goods and services that we may want. But that is not appropriate. That is not the kind of poverty that is in Africa. In Western countries and different parts of the world, they've got what they call a below income line.
Elaborating further, I did write a book about understanding poverty and its eradication in a young African economy. And in this book, I was aiming at how do you create a micro economy?
Using local materials that are within the communities, but within the households. And the households would be the mini factories that would have this activity and would produce a micro economy that would come out and really help the rural economic transformation. But I will say the example I gave of the Usoga region, it doesn't mean that the whole country has to do black soldier fly farming. I only identified a synergy point that can really help communities to understand that there is still so much to do and there is a lot that we haven't looked at. The example I can give, if I can begin from
the Sese community. And let us have this example upon which we did research and also found out some pilot studies. We did research on economic census of the community in the context of these working examples, poultry industry and economic census and research findings of the market survey in Sese Islands, in as far as poultry is concerned. If you have your pen, you can try to calculate this with me. A single chicken vendor, not the biggest, but just average, sells 5 chicken a day. This is minus hotels and restaurants on the islands that really target tourism. Just one person needs 50 chicken, and each chicken costs about Uganda shillings between 30 to 35,000. Therefore, in 30 days, if in 10 days he needs 50 chicken or she, then that means in 30 days of the month, we multiply the 50 times 3, which equals to 150 chicken needed by one vendor. These vendors are on the roadside, these that sell nyama choma, no fried chicken on the roadside. And these people that sell nyama choma, just one vendor in Kalangala district, a practical example, at the city center, at the Kalangala district center, needs 150 chicken a month. A total spent from just one vendor, randomly, whom that we selected. There are many vendors selling chicken. We chose one, just one that we landed on. This was just a survey, and based on sampling. And this one vendor, 150 chicken, multiply that by 30,000 shillings. In a month, he spends 4.5 million shillings. In a month, he spends 4.5 million shillings. Okay? Please note, this is to give the lowest estimate because I said it ranges from 30 to 35,000. No? Otherwise, on days of celebrity visits and festive seasons, we did not get to that. Please note, during this research, we also noted that the vendors get the chicken imported off the island from Masaka. That means they even cost more in as far as transport is concerned. Okay? Why were they getting this chicken from Masaka? So we go and we talk to our black soldier fly farmers in Kalangala district on the Sese Islands. And we talk to them. I personally asked the LC3 chairman and I said, who's in charge of these are leaders within the district. I asked the LC3 chairman and said, sir, what is it exactly if that causes you to import chicken from Masaka off the island. And then I said, I want to do one thing. If I gave just one of your villages, Bujumba, that is the name of the village, if I just gave it one contract for a year to provide this one vendor with 150 chicken a month, can your village be able to get it? The LC3 chairperson laughed at me and said, even if you, we can't even do it consistently. Even in 1 month, we will only make 50 chicken. That is the degree of poverty. And even if we get it, even the young ones, we would have slaughtered them that the next month we will not have. But now that we are growing black soldier fly farming, now we shall begin to have even the feed that we will use to have chicken. So you can only imagine how much is needed. An entire village cannot, in fact, let us talk about a parish, cannot produce 150 chicken every month for one vendor. We talked to our mentors. We also talked to General Katumba Wamaland. He said, try to think of ways and let me know how you've thought about it, because basically he would give an advisory role. And he has taken on this role after the late Honorable Chirunda Chivejinja passed away. So it has more or less passed on to him as a rite of passage, if for lack of a better word. So in this, he said, now figure out how much do you get, how best do we go about it? So he gave us about 50 chicken. We went with this chicken. We experimented with the black soldier fly farming because this was alarming. Just one person who sells chicken, and there are many tourists who come and they like to eat this street food, but the village cannot. They just cannot. One village can't produce 150 chicken. That is the reality on the ground. So when he gave us 50 chicken, we said, now what are we going to do? So within ourselves, we organized and I want to show you how to make a microeconomy at the grassroots within the community, household per household. So we went in and we got an incubator. We started to make eggs and we got the smallest incubator. We are not talking heavy industry here. We want to show you how to begin small and aggregate. So when we got the smallest incubator, it produces 30 eggs a day. No, not a day, per each session that it does. So we said, okay, 30 eggs. How many eggs can we have within a month? Then we're like, if it is 30 a month, then another 30. Now we started to talk to those who have local chicken in their house. Please, if you have chicken, get your names registered, give us those eggs. We take them to one of the women again, whom we have given this machine but has the time to sit at home. And we'll look after these chicken and hatch these eggs in the incubator, because she is where on the village there is some electricity. And interesting enough, what she does is she gets her phone, which is the cheapest mode. It's not a flat screen, it's not anything lavish, but it has a torch. So she leaves that torch on so that she's able to see in the night how the chicken are performing, the ones that are in the brooder, the young chicks, whether they are eating or not, and at the same time whether there is anything that she needs to watch out for. So she has to wake up in the night and do that. And that is one woman who's in charge of that small incubator that can only take 30 eggs. Then now you have to go with the community and say, we are collecting this. When we reach that stage and this lady could actually manage to hatch these, that everything she has put in, she has mastered how to use this machine. You're looking at local people in the village with not much education, but practicals can be easy for them to get. So this lady now, after getting the skill, now we go back. Who has eggs in the village? Can you give us some eggs? Register your names here. When we hatch and you have 5 eggs, you'll get, and then you leave one chick or one chick back with the person who made the incubator, because they have to pay for this electricity, and then you will take 3, and then the 2 will remain. No problem. So they register, and that is where we have started with this. In that process, we get to talk to Mr. Dungu of Kuku Chicken. We introduce how our foods have depleted in as far as nutritional value is concerned. And him being a marketing or a manager in Kuku, in Kuku Chicken, he tells us, okay, as a corporate social responsibility, we are going to work with you to study the performance of this feed and how this community is doing. And then we can see if we can work out a mode where we have these people, household per household, able to get the minimum. But if several houses can get this, we can make sure that we don't look at people who are getting small numbers. For the sake of corporate social responsibility, we'll look at households and what they can get within the minimum from the money they get from black soldier fly. How much can they get? And then they get this chicken and they rear them and they give them the right feed, right protein, and then they grow and they are free range and all this. So we found we had made a chain from an incubator to the eggs to now when we finish that, who has eggs and gets, then we take back to that household, then we bring back. It is quite a chain, but they are different people doing different kinds of things. And that is one feasibility study. Now we go to Pambito Lavi, which in the local community, it's a delicacy, and it's called a masinya. One lavi of masinya, these people eat insects on the island. So Pambito Lavi, one lavi is between 250 to 300 shillings. Sometimes it can even go up to 500 shillings. Yet chicken eggs cost 300, but it takes 5.5 months to lay an egg, while the larva lives between 30 to 55 days. Yet the females lay between 58 to 531 eggs, which hatch in about 1 to 6 days, meaning the investment into the larvae in context is low, with high yield compared to chicken.
There are people who grow pineapples, and a pickup of pineapples can cost 75,000 shillings, just like the people of sugarcane in season. 75,000 shillings, a whole pickup. In fact, when they bring them to Kampala, you can get one pineapple for 1,000 shillings. And someone can carry 5 of them in town and say, give me 5,000, very big pineapples. But the farmer who has put in all the efforts that they've put in is actually very discouraged. Still, even with pineapples, you can make probiotics. I'm looking at human science elements that we haven't looked at before in the production line. You can also dry these pineapples. They can be part of pastes in food, a paste that you put in food, in recipes. And they can also be dried with the sun, the natural sun, and it can be something. Let us imagine every household was doing that. Come from Masaka as you come to Mpiji. Mpiji, they grow ginger, tangawizi. But you can find that tangawizi, 500 grams, costs 25,000 Uganda shillings. That is about $50 and half a US dollar. And because they grow this tangawizi, the simplest thing is to dry it naturally and then crush it. Machines to crush it can be made by local smiths like Musa Bode. And if it's household, how much can be produced? These are mini feasibility studies that can be done. And it's not so out of there that it cannot be. Because the person who's selling tangawizi today in the market is, I think it's Tropical Heat, but it's something Heat as a company. But it's an investor company. But what is an investor company doing except crushing it and putting it in a bag and then selling 500 grams, at 25,000? Can't that be an industry from the grassroots that partners with these people that are bringing in all these kinds of spices? So there is a lot that we haven't looked at, and the idea is bankable projects. People have milk, and there is one factory for milk, the western part of Uganda. And you'll find that people end up pouring this milk because they have too much of it at a certain point, and the one factory which is there is not enough. It's because we are thinking that in order to make factories, we have to begin with big factories and not small scale micro factories. And this is bringing a problem. But yet in milk, you can make probiotics. Probiotics is bacteria that are good for the gut. We haven't even gone there. It can be a probiotic drink that is very different from yogurt, And it can be a small scale industry that every household can make, and there can be even standards that are done out of this. And these bankable projects can really, really help us. I've elaborated this, I can't do that now, in my book, Seasons of African Holistic Development.
The lessons learned from the community transformation initiatives that we are trying to make, all these initiatives have got different people within the community, starting from zero, that are actually behind all these efforts and growing with these efforts. And these people give us certain lessons that we learn about community transformation initiatives. And it means that successful community initiatives are always spearheaded by more well-placed members of the community. But maybe a student, teacher, knowledgeable mobilizer, etc., who acted as a volunteer to inspire the community for transformation. This is what the Russian psychologist Vygotsky referred to as the significant other. The one who has more knowledge and passionate about getting the community to a new zone of proximal development. By accessing new levels of knowledge and networks to solve the community's transformation challenge. The significant other, the community mobilizer, undertakes to collect data, intelligence about the community's human and natural resources. This is done both formally and informally to facilitate profiling of the community's opportunities and challenges. The community also has social capital which must be identified, and this must be fully deployed and engaged in solving the economic challenge at hand. Thus, all privileged members of the community put their knowledge and networks at the service of the community. The community undergoes a soul-searching process to define its destiny and works out a focused program of achieving its transformation goals. The community works out a program to find markets for its goals and services. And this is what exactly we are trying to do and demonstrate in trying to show you how microeconomies are made and sustained. That the very communities can actually be markets. Different people as we go along will be talking about within the community, because we began with child of a revolutionary. What is the mind behind this? We are still expounding on the mind behind this. But right after this, we shall also have, not right after this, at this moment, but as we go along, we shall be talking to key players like COPGT, Kalangala, oil palm growers, trust members. They will be talking about it, members of the community, district leaders, LC chairpersons. They will be talking about the roles they play, the mobilization they take in seeing this initiative take place.